Hello, everyone. This is Ishaq, and I welcome you all to this episode or this edition of Zeeshan On Air Unedited. So, first of all, I would like to thank everyone who actually have been supporting me and being part of this journey, which is obviously the public space. And in public space, there are different ways to contribute, different ways to help those who need help. And then, obviously, the best way to do it is also to run for public office. That's in my opinion, because some people think that, well, there are other ways to serve as well. But I think it's important that we recognize that we live in one of the greatest democracies that we have seen in modern history. And this is where it's all about participatory democracy. I was a little bit disappointed because overall in Fort Bend County, about 12.91% was the voter turnout. And in precinct 3, it was only about 8%. And in some cases, in different precincts, I would say about 10%. So even on average, it was even lower than the overall Fort Bend County average. But we are happy. I'm very happy and blessed. Hundreds and thousands of you are part of this political journey that I've had over these many years. And the good news is that without taking a single penny, that's right. And we're also live, by the way, on Instagram, Facebook Live, Twitter Live. Twitter, in fact, we'll do it later, but also Twitch and YouTube Live. So I welcome to all of you wherever you are. So you can certainly watch this show on different platforms. And you will also see at the bottom of your screens where you can get connected with us. So as I was speaking earlier, that the engagement level needs to go up, especially in the primary elections, because the voter turnout was significantly lower as compared to the general election. But that's where we pick our candidates, we pick our champions, we pick our key individuals who will be representing each party. Democratic Party, I'm a Democrat, and those who run from the other side of the aisle, so they can become their party's nominee. And then when people go and vote in the November general election, then they know that these are the folks that we have actually voted for. Unfortunately, many people don't vote in the primaries, and that's exactly what I saw and experienced in this primary as well. Many people didn't vote, and then people are busy, although there's early voting time, and then there's the election day, which was March 5th. However, what happens is that I am finding out that many people are getting disengaged with politics, and that is not good for democracy. So we got to make sure we are engaged politically. And there are a variety of reasons. One, obviously, big money, interest group, special interest groups. What I can tell you, especially those of you who support me and voted for me, that I did not take a single penny from any special interest groups and any lobbyists. And that's why this was truly a people's campaign, and the only campaign where it's all about people. And that's where many of you contributed and donated 5, 10, 50, 100, 250. I think the maximum contribution from a single donor we received was $500. And that basically made it possible for me to run. And then obviously I also had to reach to my own deep pockets, because it's not easy. But what I would recommend to you that we all need to get engaged, and it's not about one individual, it's all about us. And this is where I think that realization is also occurring now in the public space as far as the political engagement is concerned. So we have a lot of improvement to be made, and that improvement that we all have to make in order to make sure that we are engaged, we are voting, and not just 8%, 10%, or 12.9%, which was the total voter turnout in Fort Bend County, but higher. Should be at least 60, 70, or I would say 80 to 90% voter turnout and engagement. That's where we will see some real progress. Otherwise, special interest groups, lobbyists, and those folks who are getting money from all these different I would say groups, they will continue to have a lot of influence on those politicians. And unfortunately, that's not the kind of democracy that we would like to see in our country. So that's a little bit about local politics. We'll talk about national politics as well. But what is this Zeeshan On Air Unedited? And I'm looking at this camera as well, because we're going live on multiple platforms right now. Zeeshan On Air Edited is all about sharing the news, facts, and especially that kind of information that we will not see anywhere else. The kind of analysis that I will share with you, you will not hear it in the public space, especially in mainstream media or I would say commercial platforms, because they have their own vested interests, they have their own sponsors, and I don't really want to blame them either because that's basically how the setup is. So, where do we get the right kind of truthful, factual, and correct information? That's where a lot of people now in this day and age for social media, which we call it the social media age, that's where they're getting the information. One prime example, unfortunately, that I would like to share with you is the Gaza conflict. The mainstream media, anywhere you look at the European media in Western world, if you look at our own US media, we are not being told the truth. And that's why there's so much outrage. And a lot of people are really disappointed because 32,000 plus people have died, 14,000 plus are women and children. And they say that about 75,000 plus, these are the UN facts and UN fact finding missions and those reports that they have collected with multiple credible agencies as well. And 75,000 people are injured. And unverified reports, they are saying about 50,000 plus people have died. This is terrible. I mean, I cannot basically say it in any other way than to say that the world and the world leaders have failed. They have failed us, they have failed humanity. Because if people have to get out and protest, and through various types of protests in different shapes and forms, like verbally or literally demonstrating out on the streets or in front of the White House or in front of other embassies, consulates, or in front of their own countries' streets or in different Western capitals, why people have to protest in 2024. And this is where compassion and empathy is missing. Compassion and empathy is missing because leadership is all about passion and compassion and accountability and empathy, courage, transparency, very important transparency, which is missing these days. And then trust. And trust needs to be mutual. If I trust you and you don't trust me back, then we have some issues because trust is a two-way street. So this is where people are getting information from social media these days. And I would like to make sure that every Saturday, today is weekend, today is Saturday. So I would like to make sure that every Saturday we get together. So today is the first, I would say, session or this episode of Zeeshan On Air Unedited, where, see, we don't want to be edited. And that's where I would like for you to have an opinion. You can be part of this program. And then someone is, I'm going to just share this because this is all about transparency. Antonio is asking, how should we vote in the Precinct 3 Commissioner and Constable position? Who should we vote for? That's a great question, Antonio. I am a Democrat, so I would obviously say Democrat. But since this is Zeeshan On Air Unedited, I would say reach out to the candidates. Ask them, what are they going to do for you? What are the issues that you are concerned about? And who do you think would be the best candidate to represent us in the November general election, especially in Precinct 3, both for Commissioner as well as for Precinct 3, for Constable. And that's what I'm going to tell you straight, unedited, because as a Democrat, my public position will always be vote Democrat. But some people mix and match. So I have to be cognizant of the fact that the will of the people and the rights and choices and opinions matters. In this country, opinion matters. So this is where Zeeshan On Air Unedited will make sure that we talk about those issues, those concerns that no one is talking about, even our elected officials. We are getting wishy-washy answers. We get answers that are politically correct. And why is that? I personally believe that liberty, equality, and justice for all, that is where exactly how we got to move forward. Now, we have another comment. I am not voting for Biden. Well, that is a very, I would say, um, important discussion that this country is having. Personally speaking, I can share you my personal opinions. Biden domestically has done few good things. For example, 14 million plus jobs, COVID, which was out of control, and then even with the reduction of inflation or Inflation Reduction Act that was passed, and some of the things with regards to even tuition, and hopefully we get the tuition reform or loan waivers in terms of the student loan waivers, and there are some other things as well. However, at the end of the day, domestically there are things that we can see, but internationally I think the verdict or the mixed reaction is out there, especially people who come from different lands or who have been here for decades. I've been here for almost 30 years, but if you even talk to people who have been living here, born and raised, and even, for example, when I talk to my son, he's also very concerned. He has never been to Middle East, but when he is watching social media, like again I said, it's important, he is devastated, and he is saying, "Dad," he calls me daddy, "Daddy, what is going on?" And this is where a lot of youngsters, and we saw this on our campuses, where pro-Palestine and pro-peace protests happen. So the special interest groups, and that's where all these different lobbyists and special interest groups come into the picture, APACs of the world, ADLs, what have you, American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, used to be called World Zionist Organization until 1950s. And then in 1960s, then they changed the name to APAC, because Zionism and Zionist, obviously, when you do research, there's a lot of taboo and a very I would say bad connotations attached to the Zionism word, because if you look at the Zionist term, that means Greater Israel. So some people are for it, some are against it, and some are saying, obviously, we got to make sure that we have a pro-peace policy. So when we are seeing protests on the streets and on different university campuses, it's all about humanity. I mean, you cannot stop humanity. This is our internal and internal subconscious and our own, I would say, will and soul that basically cannot see human suffering. And that's where we've got to make sure that we cannot suppress free speech. Someone is saying that Trump is the right choice for USA and you are the right choice for commissioner. Well, I appreciate that. I agree with the latter, which I'm the right choice for commissioner. But I completely disagree with the first statement that you made, that Trump is the right choice for USA. The reason I'm going to say that, because insurrection plus the attack on democracy plus not recognizing what beautiful country we have in terms of the democracy. Yes, DC politics, I would agree. That's where Trump has tapped into that public sentiment that, is the swamp, and, these special interest groups and lobbyists, and they are taking over our country. And this is where we got to hold our public officials accountable. This is where we got to elect people from the grassroots level, contribute 5, 10, 50, $20. Why do we have to sway in terms of one direction or other direction, regardless of what political party we are from? I'm a Democrat, but even independents or those who basically look in terms of each candidate from each political party, they mix and match. This is where it's up to that huge silent majority to say, no, we're going to support the candidates who actually are not getting paid big money by those special interest groups, by those lobbyists, and those and that big money. That's where the campaign finance reform, it's so important, and both parties have not done it. And I would ask my Democrats and my colleagues to actually continue to push on those issues. So this is why I personally believe that Trump is going to be a dictator. He is going to be someone who is going to lead as an autocrat. And unfortunately, in this year 2024, and in this day and age, we wrongly believe that being a strong leader means that you got to be a bully. That basically means you got to, be very, very, very aggressive. See, I'm assertive. I've worked for American Express. Those who have seen me on the campaign trail have, watched me and seen me. Some say that I'm a passive aggressive. There's nothing wrong being passive aggressive because you got to be assertive. But there is a huge difference between being a passive aggressive person versus a bully or an aggressive, outright, in your face kind of a person. So that's where I would like to make sure that we do not take bullyism and confuse it with assertiveness and confuse it with being aggressive, because and being a dictator. So I think, unfortunately, many people take leadership as being an aggressive person means that you're a leader. So that is why I would say that we got to make sure that we continue to uh, make the right choices when it comes to the general election as well. I'm a Democrat, so I will still say that, even people argue with this lesser of choice, what have you. I would still say that uh, you may have to think, or maybe in some cases I have heard with people, they're saying we're abstaining, we're going to leave it blank in terms of the presidential choice. This is sad. Or we will vote for a third person. There are some other third party candidates or independents that may show up, for example, Dr. Cornell West. So again, a vote is a very personal thing. So this is a great show. Thank you, Zeeshan. I appreciate it, Antonio. And thank you for your comment about which in fact is right here. Trump is the right choice. I already discussed that. And then you are right choice for commissioner. Well, I appreciate that. So Zeeshan On Air Unedited. This is our first kickoff and our first program. I'm glad that people are joining us, and we are on multiple platforms. On the bottom of the screen, you can join us and connect with us on these multiple platforms. And I would like to make sure that we have honest discussions and opinions and factual discussions with a lot of key issues that we are going to be facing as we move forward in 2024. So please continue to stay engaged. I would like to keep this at least 10 minutes or less. Today, this is the first kickoff, so it's already beyond 10 minutes. We're already at 15 minutes, or in fact, I can see 17-minute mark. So I would like to always keep it short, but continue to give me feedback, stay engaged, because that's important. And one thing that I would definitely would like to share with you is this. I'm pulling up this Instagram, because obviously it's social media. The returning of some soldiers. There are 20,000 psychopathic murders coming back to UK. So there is this social media, I would say, post out there, got almost 40,000 likes, and thousands of people have already watched it. And the premise of this particular video, it's on Instagram. Like I said, in this day and age, people are not in majority watching the traditional mainstream media. Even they get those clips or shorts or those TikTok videos or Instagram, where they're getting all this in their feed, but from multiple sources. Then the mainstream media or the traditional media, they're also are on social media. But are they trustworthy? Are they credible? Well, that is, I would say, up to debate, because some anchors, some news reporters, they're trying to do a good job, but then there's pressure from the executives from these news channels. And then this Instagram post that I was talking about, that about 20,000 soldiers, psychopathic soldiers, what have you, have returned to UK. So this is making a lot of trending, or in terms of trends on Instagram, and it will come to your feed as well, depending on, again, it's all based on algorithms, what have you. And now we'll talk about AI as well as we move forward in this Zeeshan On Air Unedited episodes every week, and we can increase the frequency depending on the news of the day as well. I tell you, they're saying 20,000. And see, no media is going to cover this. That's why this is Zeeshan On Air Unedited. I think we're living in one of the best era. You know why? Because those of us who would like to know the truth and would like to get to the bottom of the truth, we are cautiously optimistic. I'm an eternal optimistic person. I'm an eternal optimist. But at the same time, at times, especially the kind of news that I see and hear and research and get to the bottom of it, I become cautiously optimistic. So this 20,000 soldiers that are returning from Israel, and this is the news that will not be covered by any media in UK or in England or obviously in the US as well. And this news is that 20,000 soldiers are coming back fighting in Gaza. And what did they do? And this whole premise was about that they killed children, they killed women, they raped women, and then they killed youngsters, teenagers, men, what have you, because there is this genocide. That word, I just said the word, the G word, yes, genocide is happening in front of our eyes. And it is mind-boggling. It's disgusting, it's terrible, it's I don't even have the right choice of words. Even this is Zeeshan On Air Unedited, but it's really, I would say, something that I would like to use the F word, but again, a lot of children and maybe people from all different backgrounds, they follow me and watch me. So it's really messed up. And the concern is, especially with the British citizens, that how are they going to trust these people? I mean, they have killed people, they have raped, they have killed children and infants and babies, and they went and fought along with the Israeli soldiers. And now they're coming back to UK. How many of those are also going to come to US? Or how many from here in our country went over there and fought alongside the Israeli soldiers? So this kind of news will never be covered. We got to ask these politicians and ask for the right answer. Unfortunately, this whole political correctness and being wishy-washy and trying to dodge the question is not going to fly anymore. And we got to make sure that we elect the right candidates when the November election is going to be, coming to all of us soon, right? It will be at a polling station near us, and it's up to us that we get out and vote. So I would say that we gotta make sure that we are engaged, we are asking the right questions, and in order to ask the right questions, we gotta know what is going on. And that's where the independent social media platforms are doing a fantastic job, but at the same time, they're also getting censored and censorship. And how they're getting censored, because sometimes people who are sharing information and truth and facts, they're saying, oh, it's a violent video, or they have shown some mutilated bodies, which obviously the self-censorship of the Western media will not show it. And that's also debatable, because then you are covering the I would say the disgusting and the most pathetic and the lowest of the lowest of the lowest level of humanity. But when we don't show it, then it doesn't get the kind of reaction that we would like to see from humanity, because ignorance is bliss. So in social media, when those individuals on IG accounts, Instagram accounts, or on YouTube, or on other, even on Facebook, then these companies, because of the pressure again from interest groups, special interest groups, and from lobbyists, and they are in collusion, I would say, with the politicians, they come up with some draconian laws, or they go to social media, to these big companies, and they tell them to basically switch it off or turn off these accounts. I appreciate Facebook Live and other live channels as well, that they are still allowing people like me and us to especially share that information. But I can tell you, the moment I will share any kind of gory image or dead bodies, then yes, there would be this, I would say, censorship that comes on top of it, that do we even want to view it? That's fine. But then many people, and in those many people, sometimes there are, again, individuals who are pro-war, and they want to see mayhem and they want to see destruction. Unfortunately, we live in a world where good and bad people are living, right? And there are a lot of good people, and there are also some bad people, and you only need one or two or three, those lone wolves that they say. And we hear that type of news from even the brainwashing that is going on in the media with regards to, oh, Al Qaeda is back, oh, ISIS. Remember, all these terrorist organizations, they were gone, and now they are coming back. So we will discuss those as well, that why all of a sudden Al Qaeda or ISIS or ISIS-K, what have you, which even Putin, President Putin of Russia, and regardless of our opinions, he's still the president of Russia, and he has exposure to intel as well from FSB and KGB and all those intel organizations. He did not fall for this, I would say, Western intelligence that was given to him, that, oh, by the way, something will happen in terms of this incident where 130, 40 plus people died in this concert and in this theater. And he said that it was basically these folks were going back, these terrorists were going back to Ukraine, and they were stopped at the border. And he didn't buy this notion from the West that it was ISIS-K, although ISIS-K was very quick to accept the responsibility of this massacre that happened, and 140 innocent people lost their lives. So this is where we have a responsibility as citizens, as humans, and as world citizens as well, no matter where you live, because a lot of people are watching this on multiple platforms and also following me. So this is our responsibility, that we do not look the other way. We get engaged and we ask whoever is in leadership position that, what are you doing for humanity? And that doesn't just stop with politicians. It also needs to be, I would say, in the effort of getting engagement from our clerical society. When I say clerics, that basically means clerics from all different faiths, but also the Muslim faith. Ramadan is in progress, so we see all these different worshiping places, masjids, mosques, what have you, full. But what are the clerics doing? What type of political pressure that they can also put and use their influence wherever they are, not just in the US. I'm talking about in general, all over the world. They can do wonders. They can do a lot. But unfortunately, they are also in some type of political pressure, I guess, where they say, we cannot talk about politics. And then in the US, they always bring up this nonprofit 501c3 excuse, which is in fact not the excuse that they can use, because they're not promoting any individual candidate or party. They're asking the right questions about humanity, right? So any loss of life, even one life loss, is one too many. So they need to be engaged. What kind of speech or what kind of sermon can it be when it's not showing any kind of actions and concrete steps to the congregation, to those who are attending this congregation? That's where I personally believe that our youngsters and many people, they will turn away from whatever faith that they associate themselves with and whatever religion that they are part of, because they're not going to see that kind of positive engagement and influence that the clerics, and those clerics could be priests. Those clerics, especially in the month of Ramadan, are imams. The imams, the masjid imams, because imam is a big word, but in terms of the masjid imams, those who are giving sermons, so they have a role to play. And if they are not playing the positive role in terms of their responsibility, then I'm afraid, and I hope I'm wrong, but we will see that our youth will turn away from those clerics, and they will lose their own audience. So they got to make sure they are relevant. And the only way they can be relevant is we get back to humanity. So what kind of worship there could be out there, and this is my personal opinion, where we are not concerned about humanity, but we are concerned about just praying, praying, and praying. But praying without any action is in any faith. And I've studied Islam, I've studied Judaism, I've studied Christianity, and I've talked to imams, I've talked to priests and ministers and even rabbis, what have you. And all those that I have come across, the common theme has been that we are the faith, whichever faith, because I've mentioned all these different denominations or different faiths and religions. And in fact, in Islam, they say it's a complete way of life. Then how can we say it's a complete way of life then just focus even only on our prayers? And the common theme that I received was that, hey, any kind of prayer without taking an action is fruitless. Because if someone is not making an effort and only praying that, hey, I would like to get a better job, or I would like to find a job, or I would like to graduate, I'm just giving you examples, and you're praying, but you're not putting any action and any effort, that is not what any religion basically profess or preach. And again, I respect all religions and all opinions, but this is, again, we will discuss these type of issues that are sensitive as well, because humanity is at stake. And even though the ceasefire for Gaza was passed, but it was not actually a ceasefire originally that was brought up by the US. And I am sorry to say this, that it was not a ceasefire. Then all the other 10 non-permanent members, and then because of US abstaining and letting the resolution pass, then the call for ceasefire was passed at the UN Security Council. But that has been a week now, and what have we seen? No stop to bloodshed. There's no stopping to bloodshed. Massacre is still happening. Just because we're not seeing it in the news, in the mainstream, in the traditional news, that doesn't mean that people are not dying. Every day people are dying. And then there are assaults and attacks going on in Rafah, which is the last refuge that they have, which is the border close to the Egyptian to Egypt. Basically, it's a border area with Egypt, and it's the last I would say enclave for Gazans and Palestinians to take refuge over there. And they only had a population of 100,000 to 100,000 plus. Some say it's 300,000. Now almost 1.5 million people are crammed into this tiny space. So this is where we got to make sure that it's all up to us. And I cannot do this alone. I can be the conduit of this bearer of bad news, but also glad tidings and good news that I share with you, that there are a lot of good people out there in this world. That's why the world is still can be a better place. But right now we're still at a very low point, because in 2024, with so much going on, we have to talk about humanity. And that's why I am talking about it. And I would like to make sure that whatever mechanism, platform, and within the rule of law, obviously staying within the rule of law, you got to make sure that you put pressure. And I'm glad that our youngsters are fully engaged. I will leave you with this comment, though, that our politicians and some who are aspiring to run for the highest office of the land, they are not living up to the standard of humanity. And that is very simple: thou shalt not kill. And that is transcending. That message is a message that has transcends into all cultures and faiths. And thou shalt not kill, in this day and age, if I have to say that do not kill people. I mean, it is really, really, really sad to say that we have to remind our politicians and so-called leaders that we hold them accountable, that you will not kill people or become part of killing or complicit in killing. And then the G word, the genocide. So I will do my job. I will make sure that we continue to discuss these tough issues and sensitive issues, but we will raise awareness and we will give each other that inspiration that we all need and bring all these like minded people together on one platform. And this is your platform, Zeeshan On Air Unedited. And I would like to make sure that you continue to be part of this program and continue to give me your feedback. And at the end of the day, we are all in this together because it's about humanity and humanity is at stake. And I'm looking in this camera as well because we're live on Instagram as well. So I thank you to all of you. So many people have been watching me live. They are engaged on multiple platforms, Zeeshan's On Air, and this live broadcast. This is the Zeeshan On Air Unedited launch that we just did today. And I thank you again that you are part of this platform. Please share with others and make sure that if someone is making shorts or clips, what have you, because I may not have all the time to do research and also work professionally. I'm in business and IT management, and at the same time also I'm a public person and I'm a politician, but I consider myself a leader because a politician, they always look at very short-term gains or only at one election cycle. A leader looks out for the generation or for hundreds and thousands of people. So I try to be that humble and public servant and that servant leader as somebody who would like to make sure that we are all in this together. And I will continue to make sure that together we will make good progress. And don't get discouraged because of all the hard work and all these protests and all the protests and protesters. That's the last resort. How else they can share their feelings and opinions and make sure that the killing stops. And that's where I appreciate that protesters and protests are happening. And there are all different types of protests. And that will continue because humanity will continue. And we cannot allow any killing in 2024 anywhere in the world because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So don't think that, oh, it's happening in Middle East, it's happening in that part of the world. I'm happy here. I'm living in my air-conditioned car, or if you're in the Mid East or Midwest or in Northeast or in that part of our country where it's really cold, sitting in a heater, centralized heating, and you think that I am insulated and I should just continue and go on with my life. Yes, it's important that as humans we got to continue to go on with our daily routine, with our daily lives, but it's also incumbent upon us. It's our obligation as a human, as somebody who basically has been given this responsibility, no matter what culture, religion, or what background you're from, because we're all born to humans, and when we are born and when we are raised, we feel that pain when we see human suffering. So that's basically why humanity is at stake and why each and everyone's role is so important. So if you can take one message today from this from today's program, would be continue to get engaged, continue to raise awareness, continue to have a dialogue. I know passions are high, emotions are high, but try to remain calm, because when we are very emotional and when we become overly passionate, then we lose our strain of thought, we lose our objectivity, and then we we reflect on our emotions on the other person, and that person also become emotional, or sometimes people lose that objectivity, or that humanness, that they get into angry debates. So that should not be our goal. And I can tell you that the the kind of approach that I have always used, that when we are in facing a difficult situation, and it's a situation where we've got to make sure that it's an important and sensitive or very key discussion that we are engaged, or I'm engaged with, that I collect myself, I remain calm and composed. And if you think that you're not calm and composed, then maybe uh, have that discussion with whoever you're having that discussion later, when you collect yourself, when you are calm and composed, because humanity is at stake. Even with your best intentions, we got to make sure that we stay assertive, and we make sure that we continue to make that positive impact, and raise each other, and raise our spirits, and at the same time save humanity. And in order to save humanity, we've got to make sure that each one of us has a role and responsibility to play, and it's an obligation on all of us. So, with that, I would like to say that thank you again, and may God bless you. And those of you who are fasting, happy Ramadan, happy fasting. I'm fasting as well. And those of you who may want to try, you can definitely try as well. You can do intermittent fasting sometimes. I know many of my non-Muslim friends, they ask me about fasting, and you get used to it. It's not difficult. But yeah, you cannot drink and you cannot eat from dawn till dusk. So today it was around 6:10 or something in the morning, and then you basically open your fast, or you start eating, or they say break your fast, regardless of But basically start eating and drinking. I would say around 7:40 ish, so at sunset. So that's central time, because if you're in different parts of the world, or if you're at East Coast or West Coast, obviously those time differences, and especially we are in daylight savings, those are different. So thank you again. I will connect with you next Sunday. Please spread the word. Zeeshan On Air Unedited. And thank you so much for connecting with me. I see a lot of people have joined, and some have shared their comments. And I will also want to make sure that next Sunday, if you would like to be my guest, and this is your platform, you can be my guest. And I will share those links as well. Today, I didn't see anyone. I just want to scroll down real quickly to see if anyone made any suggestion about being a guest. No, not today. And thank you, Antonio, for being a very engaged, uh, you know, member of the audience. I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, regardless of whatever sentiments, whatever opinion we have, we live in a society which is a pluralist society, and we want to make sure our democracy stays intact, and we listen to others as well. But at the same time, we should also be mindful of other people's feelings and sentiments as well. Maybe say things in a way that should not be edited. Although this program is unedited, but I can say it, right? That just being on someone's face, oh, you're wrong, and we want to make sure we'll cancel you, or we'll get to your employer and get you fired. And people have have been fired because they have shared some very extremist opinions about certain group of people, what have you, because we got to respect everyone. It's equality, it's liberty and justice for all. So they felt harassed, and then there are a lot of people, they got fired. So I want to make sure that how can we uh, come up with a kind of a society, or a decent conversation, without becoming overly obnoxious or extremist, even if you're a liberal and if you are a right wing, ultra orthodox, ultra wing MAGA extremist. Unfortunately, right now we're seeing that. And that's why I say that there are good and bad people everywhere, in every party as well. So we got to make sure that we do not look the other way or just ignore. Sometimes it's better to ignore, but at other times I think we have to be assertive and confront such individuals and maybe make a decision. That's my opinion. At that point, that okay, now is it even healthier to engage in a debate or argument, or maybe it's time to just walk away. So that's also something that we got to make sure that we're losing in this age of social media, because we have lost that human touch and human interaction. So get out there and also meet people. At least I have had the privilege and blessings of meeting hundreds and thousands of people because I'm in the public space. I meet people. I'm a politician, but I would say a good politician. At least that's what I would like to think so, because of your prayers and your supports and hundreds and thousands of people who are part of Zeeshan On Air and with Zeeshan Ishaq, or part of my journey. And I appreciate that, because it's all about us. So with that, it's already almost 40 minutes now. But as you can tell, we have a lot to discuss. This is Zeeshan On Air Unedited. And next Saturday, connect with me. And it will be again at the bottom of the screen, as you can see, where you can connect 6 p.m. Central. That would be next Saturday. And we will continue to stay engaged, folks. And this is all about us. It's about all of us, and it's about humanity, and humanity is at stake. So thank you so much. And with that, I will just sign off. Thank you. Bye bye. And bye bye to Instagram and all the social media platforms as well. Signing off. Thank you.